Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the ABC podcast. My name is Alex and I am joined by Brandon on your Park, Get Set, Go.
You know what? I am on board with that. I like that one. Good job. Good job.
Thanks.
What's up?
I'll let you go first.
Me go first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm really tired, man. So I just got off of work literally about 30 minutes ago. I finally used the bathroom because I've been holding it in because I've been so busy. So literally when you called me and said, hey, I'm here, I just finished washing my hands and everything. I'm like, oh God, I gotta go get Alex. It's been a busy couple of days.
I feel like we should say that for the first time ever, we're recording on a weekday, which is pretty strange.
Yeah. You know what? It's really weird.
That's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
I could go for a cookie right now. But yeah, that's just basically me. Nothing new.
Okay.
I moved furniture last night till like 11:30.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I started at 6.
Is that just like the majority of your res life job is just moving furniture?
Not really.
Oh.
I just, on certain occasions I have to. Mostly because some of my other fellow coworkers, they moved some furniture with, like, they moved drawers and, not drawers, I should say dressers and desks when they weren't supposed to. In their defense though, the instructions said move furniture. And originally, we were only supposed to move the bed and the frames and the mattress. But when you see furniture, rightly so, they assumed it was everything in the room. So we moved it, and then they said, oh, you're not supposed to move that. I was like, no. So that was funny because I brought this up. She said, yeah, you'll never have to move that again. And then she said, yeah, we need you to move it this weekend. I was like, of course you guys do. But you know what? I had a pretty good solid workout. So probably going to eat it away tonight. So anyway, that's just me. What's up with you?
Well, I'm going to get real for a second here. So, backing up a few months, I lost my job at the end of February. And I don't want to talk about that because it's still, I'm still kind of upset about how that all went down. But the end result was I was asked to leave my job at the company I worked for. So, that sucked, but I was trying to, be optimistic. I was like, oh, this will work out. Like, cause I wasn't enjoying my job. I wasn't getting paid very well. So I was like, this may be like an opportunity for me to go somewhere else, enjoy something for a while, make some more money. Cause, I was planning to move to New York, in a few months, but ultimately that worked to my detriment because whenever I got a job interview or I tried to be upfront about it, say like, oh, I'm not planning on staying in Houston for very long. I'm looking for something pretty short term. Nobody wanted that. So I was unemployed for all of March, April, May, and then so like 3.5 months. And then a couple weeks ago, I started working at Office Max. Got a part-time job there. My first time ever working in retail, and it was a very different experience from anything I've ever been through. You never worked retail, right?
I've never worked retail. It's
I don't know. It wasn't terrible. It's just very different. It was pretty laid back. Because I was new, I wasn't given too much responsibility. I kind of just worked the cash register mostly, which was pretty easy to pick up. But it was also not very challenging. It was just really a lot of standing around. My feet hurt at the end of my shift every day. And it was just, I'm glad I experienced it in a way, just to kind of, know what those people go through. I have a lot more appreciation for what those people do. But I couldn't imagine doing that, for the rest of my life. That just, I feel like I'm called to do more than that. So I'm really grateful for the opportunities that I have had and the opportunity that I'm having going to go to law school. But yeah, I'm done with that now because the wedding is 3 weeks from this past Saturday. And I got to move out of my apartment and, last minute stuff. So I only worked there for 2 weeks. But it was definitely interesting. Meanwhile, my personal life has been, because of my unemployment, has been very stressful. My financial situation is pretty not good. I know that I've been really lucky because, I had a little bit of money saved. Robin has been there for me all along. She's been helping me out, just to, pay for some meals here and there, that kind of thing. I really couldn't have done it without her. And then, my parents have been there for me. I tried to keep it secret from them for a long time just because I didn't want them to be, disappointed or worried or anything. And eventually I finally did tell them I had to borrow a little bit of money from them. So, I was never in any trouble of, like becoming homeless or anything. And again, like I feel really blessed to not have been in that situation, like having to face that reality. But even the financial difficulties that I have had have been unbelievably stressful. Like it's just
I understand.
Yeah. Like I don't want anyone to ever have to go through that. And I certainly don't ever want to have to go through that myself again. And it's just really made me reevaluate what's important to me and appreciate what I have. And yeah. So it's been a very tough experience. I never said anything about it here just because, I didn't want to, drag it down. I try to keep it as lighthearted here as possible. But, it's something that's, happened to me, and I feel like I need to be honest about it. Now that things are starting to look up because I'm, moving back home, so I don't have to worry about rent anymore, buying groceries, that kind of thing. Not to mention that I finally did get a job for however brief it was. I feel like I've kind of turned a corner in my life there. So I just thought I should bring that up, get everybody up to speed, and hopefully I didn't make it too depressing.
I mean, that's usually how these beginnings open up,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So I think we're on a good track.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're doing better.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, let's do an unboxing. What do you say?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so here we are. We've got the box in front here, and it is gigantic. Like, I know we say this like a lot about the boxes, like, oh, this might be the biggest box we've ever gotten of X subscription service, but I honestly think this is the biggest Star Wars box we've gotten. I mean, the Empire Strikes... No. Yeah, the Empire box.
That one was pretty big.
That was pretty big,
but this one is
bigger. But Brandon, please give us a description.
Sure. So, like with all Star Wars boxes, it has the logo Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty right here. And on the sides, it has little light ups from like the hallways of starships. And on the top, there's a Star Wars logo with a Funko Pop image of Princess Leia from Star Wars A New Hope.
Specifically, the pose that she's doing in the hologram that she sends to Obi-Wan.
Right, just without the little veil on her head.
Oh, yeah. Well, so maybe it's not that. I don't know. Anyway. All right, so as is tradition, we have our patch and pin. The patch is of, I'm assuming that's Luke, although I guess it's kind of hard to say for sure. In any case, it's an X-Wing pilot with the Rebellion logo on the bottom. And on the side, it says 40th anniversary. And on the very top, it says Star Wars. And then the pin is just Chewbacca, who, I'm going to be honest, looks pretty derpy.
Sometimes he looks like that in the movies.
I guess. I don't know. He looks like he's like in the middle of a sneeze.
I'm sure that's the same way when he growls.
So,
oh my goodness!
Inside,
my
start
goodness.
with, we've got 2 Star Wars sweatbands. I'm not a big sweatband person personally, because I try to avoid sweating as much as possible. But I don't know. I could find a use for
look on the bright side. When we move out of your apartment, when you move out of your apartment, you can wear them so we can, just kind of get into the zone.
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then we've got hot salt and pepper shakers of Han Solo and Greedo. And they're like facing each other. They kind of look like they're squaring off. Neither of them has a blaster raised, so we don't know who's going to shoot first.
You take that back. You take that
I
back.
have a good idea of who's going to shoot first.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, we got another set of salt and pepper shakers in the Batmanville. No, it was a Batman box.
Was it Batman and Robin?
That was what the salt and pepper shakers were, but I can't remember which box it was.
I don't remember either.
No, I guess I'll figure it out for next week. Anyway, so I don't really have a use for another pair of salt and pepper shakers. Like, you really only need one in your life.
But come on, do you actually use them, though?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. You're like one of the few people I know actually uses them.
I also know for a fact that I got more salt and pepper shakers off of our wedding registry, so I'm kind of swimming in salt and pepper shakers right now.
Yeah, you can never have too much salt and pepper.
But I don't know. These might make like a good gift for someone.
Yeah.
And then finally, the reason the box is so big. Here, let me move something.
You know, when I saw the image for this, I didn't know how big it was going to be. But
We have
is ridiculous.
a pop ride of Luke Skywalker with Sand Speeder. That's what it's called, right? Or is it just Speeder? Land Speeder? Just Speeder is what it says on the box, so we'll go with Speeder. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I like the little sand at the bottom there. It's a nice little touch.
Hate sand.
Yeah, everybody hates sand. Yeah, this thing is great. Now I just have to get Mark Hamill to autograph it, but
Knowing him, he probably would.
no, he definitely would. I just don't know if I could afford it because I know it's pretty pricey.
Just say you're about to get married. I'm sure he would make an exception.
Maybe. Here's a picture of the back. Yeah, we got some. Some of them are out already, but not all of them. I don't think. I can't really remember. So yeah. All right. Well, I think that was an excellent box.
I agree. I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah. I maybe would have liked something besides the sweatbands. Like, that would be my only complaint.
Mm-hmm.
But salt and pepper shakers are really cool. The pop ride is sweet. So,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I said at the beginning of the show, my finances are stretched pretty thin right now. So, it pains me to say it, but I had to cancel all 3 of my subscription box subscriptions.
Dang.
Yeah. So,
that's pretty tough.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was. So that will be the last unboxing we have on the show for the foreseeable future, unless Brandon picks up the slack.
What you talking about?
I'm just kidding.
Maybe actually, don't tempt me like that. I actually, no, damn it! Why did you plant the seed in my head now?
Regardless, I think if that is the last one, I think that was a great box to go out.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway, while Brandon does a tiny bit of research for his ABCs of Geekdom subject, one quick anecdote. You were mentioning about autographing the thing for, or getting Mark Hamill to autograph it. Reminds me of this story I heard on this other podcast. This guy emailed in that he was at a convention and he got to meet David Hayter, who does the voice of, or used to do the voice of Solid Snake in the Metal Gear Solid games. And his buddy, either he'd just gotten engaged or like his wedding was coming up soon, something along those lines. And so he got David Hayter to record, and his buddy was a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. So he got David Hayter to record a message as Solid Snake, congratulating his friend and his soon-to-be wife, and that was his wedding present to
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and he even sent in the MP3 file to the podcast.
Really?
And attached his email, so like everybody got to listen to it.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
If I was a celebrity, which will never happen, or if I was somewhat famous, I would totally do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally would.
Anyway, so that brings us to the ABCs of Geekdom segment, and this week is the letter U. So, Brandon, take it away.
So this one I was thinking, there's a lot of things I could talk about with this one. And it was tough. I didn't know where to go off of. But then I remember there was something early on the podcast I wanted to talk about. And now we've come to the letter that I wanted to talk about. So for this one, we're going to be talking about the Unsullied.
Okay.
Why do you say that?
Oh, no, nothing.
You just had an expression on your face. You're like...
No. Okay, so... I don't know if you remember, but on the first ABC cycle, you were absent for this letter.
Yeah.
So my sister actually
I remember.
Picked it.
You
Okay,
did
so
Ursula.
I was kind of worried that like you hadn't listened to that one, you didn't know.
Oh, no.
That would be really awkward. But no, the Unsullied are great.
So, the Unsullied is... Well, they're not is. The Unsullied are from Game of Thrones. Both the novel series and also the TV show. And they are... How do I put this? Because there's a lot that goes into the Unsullied. I would say
I guess.
They're not mercenaries.
Well,
they've made it very clear that they're not mercenaries. I'm not trying to degrade it. It's just like when they were talking about the Unsullied, they made it clear that they don't go for pay. The best I can say is, because there's a lot of detail. First off the bat, they're warrior slaves. They are recruited and trained from a very young age because they're slaves. You don't have to worry about, I guess recruiting is a weird word, but the boys are chosen. They're all male. And they are selected to go under this extreme, intense training where I think it differs between the book and the television series between, like, I think out of every 5 boys, only 3 survive. I'm sorry, no. I take that back. In the show, 1 out of every 4 boys survives the training. In the book, 1 out of 3 boys survives the training. From the age of
weird change to make.
Yeah, I know, right? Just like the one number.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But they are recruited from the age of 5, and they're trained in all sorts of combat, from close quarters to spears to shields to sword to formations and a bunch of different other ways of going about it.
It kind of reminds me of, I think this is historically accurate, but in 300, they talk about the way the Spartan warriors are chosen. Like, they're just thrown into the wilderness when they're like 6 or 7 or something. Yeah. And I think historically it's something like that. It's
pretty similar. So apparently, I didn't see an actual interview with him, but George R. R. Martin, he modeled the Unsullied after, like you said, the Spartans and also the Mamluks of Egypt and the Middle East at that time too. So there's a lot of similarities that you see between the formations and battle style. Now, the very unique thing about the Unsullied are the fact that they're eunuchs. They are castrated from a very young age. So in order to increase obedience, to prevent them from being wildly aggressive on the battlefield, and to be completely, I guess, subservient, a lot of what the training of the Unsullied do is it takes away the identity of the individual to the point where they're almost robotic. Because I remember it's season 3 when Daenerys gets the Unsullied. She goes to Astapor, which is one of the cities in Essos. So Essos is it's different from Westeros. There's no one kingdom. It's more very much reminiscent of, like, I guess, the Mediterranean in ancient times, or from the East, where cities were pretty much the ruling government. So from city to city, you kind of controlled your region. And a majority of the cities in that area where Astapor is, they're slave cities. So the main trade of that whole region is slavery, which Daenerys is not a fan of. So she goes to Astapor, and Astapor is the main center where the Unsullied are bred and trained. And she goes, and she meets this guy named, I know his first name is Craster, and I don't know the rest of his name. It's really long Valyrian. And basically, she's been convinced by Sir Jorah Mormont to enlist to help the Unsullied, because she needs an army. Recruiting an army and paying an army, she doesn't have any money, and she doesn't have the time to do that. So it's easier to have an army that's already well-trained, obedient, and is pretty much one of the feared in the world, which I'll get to in a moment. So Cressus tells her about all the things about the Unsullied, that they will not rape, they will not pillage, they will do nothing further than what they're commanded to do. And he goes on to show, like, the Unsullied are not even men. So he takes a knife from an Unsullied, he cuts off one of their nipples, and I was like, the Unsullied just, like, takes it like a champ. He doesn't flinch or anything. And when that finishes, he just salutes the guy and he goes back. I'm like, what is this? And the whole time I was just so impressed by the Unsullied and just so, I guess, filled with sorrow and pity, because this is terrible.
Yeah.
So that's basically the basis of the Unsullied. Different things that go into their, I guess, process of removing their identity. So I guess every day they go into this pot where slips of parchment are in, and they get a color and a different name of an animal or something, and it's supposed to increase the degradation of their identity. So it's usually like a color and, like I said, an animal. So you got like White Rat, and of course the most known Unsullied on the show, Grey Worm, who is so cool. He's really the only Unsullied we ever get to know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so he's a very interesting character. He's really cool. And probably one of my favorite moments of the Unsullied is when Daenerys finally gets control over the Unsullied, because she gives Drogon away to Crassus, and she's given command of the Unsullied. And I think it's about 8,000 of them. So she has control of him. And then she starts speaking Valyrian, which I always love because Crassus doesn't think she knows Valyrian. So the whole time he's speaking Valyrian, just like insulting her and calling her the B word and the C word and everything. And when she starts speaking, he's like, what? Then because
I don't think, like, as viewers, we knew that she knew Valyrian.
Yeah, because nobody spoke, I mean, people spoke Valyrian. We didn't know she spoke it.
Right.
So when she starts speaking, she commands the Unsullied to kill all the slave masters in Astapor, free the slaves, and pretty much she raises a coup in the city, and then like everybody starts freaking out. Drogon breathes fire on Crassus, burns him alive, and I wish we got to see more, but it was just really satisfying to see the Unsullied rise up and kill everybody. Mm-hmm. And then she grants them their freedom and says, "You are free men, but if you desire, you can stay with me and come with me." And nobody leaves; they all pledge allegiance to Daenerys, and I really like that. It's not present too much in the show. It's you can see it. It's more so in the books, but the Unsullied really, really have great reverence for Daenerys, and they'll lay down their lives for her. Because when in the book, when she goes away, some other people try to get control of the Unsullied, and they will not do it without the permission of either somebody close to Daenerys or herself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like, I think that definitely is part of it, but also, I mean, like, they had just been brainwashed from such a young age to, like, obey the person who is their master, and, like, yeah, she set them free, but I don't know if they really, like, fully appreciated what that means, and, like, even if they had realized, like, oh, you can leave now, like, what would they have done? Like, they have no other skills besides, being warriors.
But at the same time, I think it's strange because she's the first one to ever show them compassion.
Yeah.
So, no, you're right to a degree because they don't really know how to appreciate that. Because remember when she's told how they pick their names, and she said, "Cast away your old names. I'll give you new names." And they said, "No, this name gives us pride because this is the name that we had when Daenerys, the Breaker of Chains, freed us." And so I think it's a mixture of both, but you're definitely right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add about the Unsullied before I add my final thing?
No, they're really cool. Although they do get kind of owned by the Sons of the Harpy,
which really takes me off so much because they have this great reputation. And yeah, you can make the argument that the Harpies overwhelm them and blah blah blah. And yeah, occasionally you see like an Unsullied take out 6 Harpies before he gets taken down. But it takes me off because,
Right.
But in the new trailer,
I haven't watched it yet.
I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of Unsullied action, and I think they're going to redeem themselves. I also like that, I don't know, they really don't need to do anything. They kind of just make everybody scared to be around.
That's true.
So the final thing I want to talk about of the Unsullied is the 3,000 of Kohar. So,
which we've brought up a couple times.
Yeah, well, actually, no, one time.
I think it was twice.
It's not even that many times. So I mean, Alex is right. So, I actually did bring it up real quickly. It was a really, really sad tangent, but the 3,000 were 3,000. So when the Dothraki, after the fall of Valyria, the Doom kind of shattered everything, and everybody was kind of up for their own because Valyria was the main political power of the region at the time. So when that was gone, everybody's just kind of in a free for all, and then that's when the Dothraki really rose up in power because the only reason they didn't really go anywhere is because of the dragons. And now that the dragons were gone, there was something to stop them. So they began to pillage and burn through everything. And as they were approaching this city called Kohar, they said,
Hodor?
No, shut up. It's always weird when you have to say words like that. And then in Game of Thrones, I'm going to pronounce it Kohar. Fudge nuggets. Anyways, so the city doubled up the defenses. They hired mercenary or sellswords, as they're called in Game of Thrones, and increased the cavalry. But they also sent an envoy to Astapor to purchase Unsullied. So they purchased 3,000 and they marched them back. And by the time they came back, they saw that the city was almost pretty much about to be taken. Like everybody was dead and everything. So at the dark of night, the 3,000 Unsullied march into the city, in front of the city, past the Dothraki. So when they woke up, they thought they were going to just charge into the city, but they saw all the Unsullied prepare for them. So they thought, they don't ride horses, they're barely considered men, considering they don't have anything down there. We'll just charge them, instead of the fact that they could easily outflank them. So they decided to charge, and each time they charged, the Unsullied were able to block them with their formation. So they did that 18 times, and the 18 times the Unsullied repelled them. And by the end of the battle, only 600 of them survived. But at that point, the Dothraki lost so many people, they thought there was no point in going on further. So they cut their braids and threw them at the feet of the Unsullied, which in Dothraki culture means, it means it ensures, it marks the defeat of, Dothraki, but at the same time it also shows respect, because Dothraki pretty much center their culture around combat. So if you're able to defeat them, they were going to show you great respect. And I always just like that piece of history.
Who would win in a fight? A Dothraki or a Predator?
Ooh. Depends on which Dothraki it is, I think. I have my money on the Predator.
Yeah, me too.
So that's basically the Unsullied.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you like them more than I do. Like, they're not my favorite part of Game of Thrones, but I mean, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. Mm-hmm. And we'll see how that turns out for Daenerys in this next season, or possibly the season after, depending on how they accelerate their timetable.
True.
But that was fun. Alrighty, so next up we have the corrections segments, and we don't have too many corrections this time. So much of our episode last week was dedicated to The Lord of the Rings, which was, essentially just a synopsis of the movie. Pretty much. There wasn't too much to correct there. And even if there was, I probably wouldn't have known what it was since I have such limited knowledge of Lord of the Rings. But, so like I said, not too many corrections here, but we'll stop stalling and get on with it. So the first correction here is, I was mentioning another couple kids books that I like to read back in the day. And I mentioned the one about the Donkey Kid and the Magic Rock.
Yeah.
So the name of that book is Sylvester and the Magic Pebble.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that book so much.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes in grade school, whenever we get to, most of the time they would pick the book ahead of us. But if one of us in the class did something really well, we could choose to have a book read for us. And I remember picking that book one time. I got to pick up a lot of books. not to toot my own horn, but I got to choose some books every now and then.
I don't remember if we ever did that, but that was so much longer ago for me than it was for you. So
I'm not that young.
No, all I remember about elementary, like the main thing I guess about elementary school is getting to play Dino. What was it? Nanosaur and Bugdom.
Yeah. And
Chromag Rally and Mario's Fundamentals. I remember when the iTouch came out, I think it was the iTouch, and they announced that they were going to put Chromag Rally on the App Store.
Oh, really?
Like, you could play that as an iPhone game or iTouch game or whatever. I got so excited. I was like, oh yeah, I love this game so much. And then I played it and I was like, this isn't as much fun as I remember. I mean, it was fine. Like, the part of it was just the iTouch controls. Like, it just didn't really work as well as it does with like a mouse and keyboard or whatever. But yeah. Speaking of which, I went to ask you, like, I think it was the last time my sister was home, which was a few months ago, but because I needed to use the dumpster. And oh my gosh, there was so much construction. Like, the whole back playground is like gone. Oh my gosh, it's sad. Crazy. It's really sad. You know how old I am? I remember before they put that playground in.
My goodness!
Yeah, they used to have this old wooden playground, which I loved. It was an awesome playground. But like, too many people got splinters. And they decided to get rid of it and put it in a plastic one.
Dude!
Oh man, it was so cool. It was like, I mean, yeah, like, I was little, so it felt gigantic, and like, it's just nostalgia. I honestly don't even remember barely what it looks like. I just remember thinking it was like the coolest playground in the world. But yeah. It used to be one playground, and then they put in the front playground, and then they took out the wood playground, and now they took out the back playground again. But
yeah, it's pretty sad.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not going to. Nobody's going to care about that except for you and me.
Hey, yeah. I mean, hey, we talk about our lives a lot on this podcast. I think
that's true.
More than we probably talk about it with other people.
Yeah,
so
I know.
But I think they're going to like that little glimpse of humanity from us.
Yeah, I guess. Next correction. I was mentioning. Oh, because I was talking about James Wolk, the actor, and I was mentioning he was the lead in this show called Lone Star.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't remember when that came on. So it aired in September 2010. And I forget if I said this or not, so I'll just reiterate. It got canceled after its second episode.
Oh my god.
Which is crazy. Like, that is really fast to swing the axe.
Yeah.
I mean, they only had 6 episodes either written or shot or planned for that season or something, but they never released 4 of them. So
that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, I watched both of them. Like, both those episodes, and I thought it was pretty good. Like, I was, I was on board, like, to at least see where it went, but apparently not enough other people felt that way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Then I talked about Liv Tyler, how she played Betty Ross in The Incredible Hulk, replacing Jennifer Connelly from the first Hulk movie, or, the early 2000s one, not... Was there another Hulk movie? Did Lou Ferrigno ever make a movie, or was he just in the show?
I'm sure they had like their own movie thing,
Maybe.
But pretty much the show.
Yeah. Anyway, so there was a early 2000s film adaptation of the Hulk, which was just called Hulk, starring Eric Bana, as you mentioned, and Jennifer Connelly as his love interest. They later rebooted it. It wasn't an origin story. Like they like the very beginning, they kind of just recapped what happened, but it was essentially a sequel. Just like they replaced all the main cast, and Liv Tyler replaced. She played the role of Betty Ross in that movie.
You know what? Even though people crap on that movie, I will have to say,
which one?
The Hulk, not the Hulk. Like
okay,
the one with Eric Bana. That game was really fun. Like,
okay,
they had a game, I think it was for PlayStation 2.
Okay.
And I played it, and it basically you can destroy everything. And it was actually fun.
I think I remember watching my cousin play that once. Was there a move where you could like take a car and break it in half and like use them?
Probably.
Okay.
I just remember being in the desert and throwing a tank at a helicopter.
Okay.
And the helicopter was in the sky. So I was like, this is awesome.
Wait, have you seen the movie though?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, it is garbage.
It
is such a bad movie.
I heard it's bad.
Anyway, so the correction here is I said, I don't know exactly what I said, but I worded my sentence to make it sound like Liv Tyler played every character in the Incredible Hulk movie. What I meant to say was that she replaced Jennifer Connelly as Betty Ross, not every single character in the movie, which would be interesting.
Oh, but I'm sure it would be.
Yeah. Moving on, I talked about the live-action Ghost in the Shell, and we were talking about the reception for it. So, according to Wikipedia, the movie made $40.5 million domestically and $129.2 internationally, for a total of $169.7 million. Which is pretty low.
Yeah.
And then it had a $110 million budget. So it barely broke even on that.
I know, which is really bad.
Yeah, it is bad. And it got a 45% Rotten Tomatoes score.
That's higher than I was expecting. Which, I mean, it's probably not saying much, but yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Then I was clarifying some stuff on Injustice 2. But I forgot to say one thing. So the first Injustice game came out for the previous console generation. So PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii U. And I played it on the Wii U. So the Wii U is an underpowered console compared to the other two. It just doesn't have the power the graphical prowess of the other two. Not to say that games can't look amazing on the Wii U, but just it doesn't have the potential that the other two do.
Although when I compare it, I don't see too much of a difference.
Yeah.
The difference is there. maybe I just don't care as much, but it never bothered me when we played it.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway, so fast forward to this year when Injustice 2 is on the new generation of consoles, so there's a lot higher potential for graphical fidelity and everything. I think that Injustice 2 looks too realistic.
Okay, that is... You know what? You know why I can't say that's dumb? That's a fair argument.
Yeah.
And I am actually okay with that argument.
I mean, like, I have nothing against realistic games. Like, I think, your Uncharted or Horizon Zero Dawn, games...
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, like, games like that, where it kind of makes sense for it to look super realistic. Like, I think that's cool. But... Injustice is a comic book game. Like, it's all about comic book characters. And the art style in the first game, had that comic book vibe. Like, yeah, it looked pretty, like, they looked realistic. They weren't, cartoonishly proportioned or anything. But it still looked comic booky, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Now, because they want to, make it look, flashy and really nice and pretty, take advantage of the hardware. I think it just looks too realistic, and I don't like it as much. Maybe that does it for some other people, not for me personally.
Which is weird because I actually enjoy it a lot. Not just because I really enjoyed the art style of the first one, but I like it in this one because, like you're right, because when you have the next generation, it only makes sense to see where you can push the graphics at that point. And it's not true for all games, but I know for them it's really true, and I think it kind of does make sense because, first off, if you have the technology, you want to make an immersion into the game as much as possible. Which, just because you have the graphics doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work that way. But for a lot of people, it does work in that standard. And also because, like, the way that you have video games nowadays, like, you can push things so much further that it just envelops you so much into it.
Yes, like, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that every game needs to max out the graphics that a system can put out. Like, so NetherRealm Studios is the developer of Injustice 2, and they also do Mortal Kombat. I've said that like a million times on this show. And like Mortal Kombat, like they look the same, like, because they're in the same universe essentially, and they look graphically pretty much identical, and it works for Mortal Kombat. I love the way Mortal Kombat X looks. I don't think that graphical style carries over to Injustice.
I disagree, because if that was the case, then it should be the same thing for Mortal Kombat.
Like in Marvel comics, like, you have wildly different art styles for different characters that are all in the same universe, just depending on, what the artist wants to draw or what their specialty is. So,
I do have one complaint. I feel it's kind of weird for me to say this, but I mentioned it before to my friend. In the beginning, when you see Bruce Wayne, when he's giving his testimony or like his speech about the fall of the regime and everything, I don't like the way they made Bruce Wayne. I like the way they made Batman. Bruce Wayne just looks kind of weird. For me, he looked like a really fit, younger Ray Romano. I just saw so much of Ray Romano in him. And I was like, which is funny because Ray Romano has a very nasal, voice. And Kevin Conroy has that really deep, commanding voice. So I thought I was just expecting him at some point after the speech to be like, yeah, guys. Yeah. And then, like, halfway throughout the game, like, I was just expecting Batman to break out into a Ray Romano voice.
Anyways, like I said, like, it didn't work. I would have preferred a less realistic art style. Like, I don't know how you want to say it. Like, the best way that I can really describe it is comic booky. I know that's not a word, so it's not really describing what I want.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. And I think that would have been cool, too. I don't know. I just liked it because... on one part of the spectrum, they could have done it the way they do Marvel versus Capcom, and it's still in that kind of animated.
Or used to do it anyway.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I think that would have worked fine. I just personally like seeing it realistic. For me, it just really got me really into it. I don't know why. For me, it's really more about the story that gets me involved into it, if anything. Because the graphics, no matter how great a game looks, if it doesn't entice you, it's pointless, pretty much.
I don't know, because the story is very important. Because I've said a bunch of times I really love the story from the first Injustice. This one was pretty good, not as good in my book, but I did enjoy it. But what keeps me around is watching the professionals play in tournaments, the story doesn't factor into that. So for me, it's a lot about the mechanics and the graphics.
I mean,
but again, we're just coming at it from very different
Some
angles.
of it does, sometimes does. I'm very much a story-driven video game person. I like multiplayer, don't get me wrong, and mechanics are really important to me. Like, there's so much of a game that goes into it. Like, if you lose one thing, you're risking the entire game at that point. True.
Anyway, next correction. We're talking about Kang and Kodos from The Simpsons. And I had said that I believed that the guy who voices Principal Skinner voices one of them, and the guy who voices Homer voices the other one. Because, once you watch The Simpsons for a while, you can kind of pick up on the vocal similarities. That's what I'm looking for. The vocal similarities between different characters, and not just The Simpsons, but really a lot of animated stuff. Just the same actor over various series, or long running series who employ the same voice actors to do a lot of things. Like in Futurama, you can hear a lot of what's his name, Bender.
Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, Joe DiMaggio. You can hear his voice.
John DiMaggio, not Joe DiMaggio.
Oh yeah, you're right. Joe DiMaggio is a baseball player.
Yeah, I always get them mixed up all the time.
Anyway, so. I was right. So the guy who voices Principal Skinner and Kang is named Harry Shearer. And the guy who voices Homer and Kodos, his name is Dan Castanella.
That's right.
So, yeah. Then we were talking about animals and where their eyes are placed, either in the front of their head or on the sides of their head. And if you had placed a bet with me going into, before I looked this up, about whether or not there was a term for different terms for that, I would have taken that bet in a heartbeat, and I would have lost that bet. There's no scientific term for where eye placement is on an animal. It's really shocking to me.
Yeah, because that's pretty important to the way that animals function.
Yeah, and maybe I wasn't Googling the right things. I tried a few different phrases to try and find what I was looking for, and I couldn't find anything. So, yeah, I was really quite shocked that I didn't. That apparently doesn't exist. So, there's a little factoid for the day. Then we were talking about Animorphs for some reason. I know it came up for some reason.
I thought it was mostly about books. Just we're talking about books.
Maybe. So I'd mentioned that why isn't there an Animorphs thing, and you said, there was a live action TV show back in the day. P.S. It was, I think it ran from 1998 to 2000 was, I think, what it said. Wow,
even longer than it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be really ripe for a reboot. I'm not saying I wish for it, because I've never read Animorphs when I was a kid, and I don't know how it would do. I'm just saying I'm surprised no one's tried to do it already.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you had mentioned the live action TV show, and you had mentioned that the actor who plays Iceman was on the show. So his name is Sean Ashmore.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I also scrolled through the cast list on IMDb, and there were a couple of other people that I'd heard of, but they hadn't done anything major that we could really be like, oh, did you know that this person started here and now they're a A-list Hollywood actor or anything?
Where are they now?
I don't know. Where are they now? So yeah. Then we talked about Ghostbusters for a little bit, because we talked about the trailer for Rough Night. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And we talked about the Ghostbusters reboot with the female cast and everything. And we were unclear about the release date. And Kenzie, you were right, did come out in the summer. It was July 15th. That date is a little important. Of last year. I think the reason that I was so convinced that it came out in the beginning of the year is a lot of the movies that studios don't expect to perform very well financially or critically usually come out towards the beginning of the year, because that's when like all of the people are really buzzing about the Oscars, and so they're talking about the really good movies of last year. So a lot of the poor movies tend to get looked over at the beginning of the year. So that's one reason. Another reason is I'm pretty sure that I watched that movie at the beginning of this year, like we got our Redbox. So for some reason I thought it'd been like a whole year since it came out before I finally got to watch it. But no, it was a summer blockbuster.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we talked about the trailer for the Olaf short movie or featurette or whatever it's called, and Kenzie brought up the Tangled short movie that's kind of along those same lines. So that was called Tangled Ever After. It was.
Oh, thanks for liking my tweet, by the way.
Oh yeah, I didn't even understand what it meant. But...
So, okay, real quick tangent. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. So I tweeted about Ultron and Shawn Mendes because he has a song. Shawn Mendes has a song called "Mercy," and one part in the song he says, "I'm a puppet on your strings." And every time I hear that, I'm like, this is totally trigger Ultron so badly.
Yeah, it would.
And every time it's a great song, but every time I hear it, I just can't help but shake my head and smile. Like that phrase has been not destroyed; it's been changed forever.
Yeah. Anyway, so Tangled Ever After was approximately 6 minutes long. So, that's on the longer side of like the Disney shorts or Pixar shorts or whatever that they usually do. But I don't know what this Olaf thing will be like. Anyway, but that ran before the theatrical 3D re-release of Beauty and the Beast. Then we had our whole long discussion of The Hobbit and... No, not really The Hobbit. There's The Lord of the Rings. Like, we mentioned The Hobbit a few times, but it was mostly about the first Lord of the Rings movie. Anyway, so Kenzie had brought up comparison between Harry Potter and how Tolkien wrote it a long time before J.K. Rowling was even alive. So I just wanted to look at the numbers really quickly. So The Hobbit was published in 1937. So this was a really long time ago. Then all three of the Lord of the Rings books were published in both 1954 and 1955. And then J.K. Rowling was born in 1965.
Okay.
So approximately, like the Lord of the Rings books were published approximately a decade before J.K. Rowling was born. Kenzie had said many, many decades before she was born. And yeah, like she didn't start writing the books until many, 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 many decades after the Lord of the Rings had been published. And I don't know when Tolkien started writing as opposed to when they were published, but I just wanted to lay that all out there. So, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the point is that Tolkien was first. Like, by any measurable metric, his ideas were way before J.K. Rowling's.
Right.
Then I gave my hot take on Spartacus. So just a few things here. One, I said that all of the male characters' names end with the US suffix. That's not entirely accurate. Most of them do. Like everyone from like the Roman Empire does, but there are several characters who come from east of the Rhine, which is just another way of saying from the Germany, or what we would now call Germany. And they don't have those suffixes on their names. Then I mentioned that one of the characters from the show, the character's name was Gaius Claudius Glaber. He was in the Lord of the Rings movie.
Right, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, so the actor's name is Craig Parker, and he played an elf named Haldir. Haldir. He was the one, when they got to the second elvish city.
Yeah, Lothlorien.
Yeah, he's the one who, like, greeted them and everything.
Yeah.
So, he's also in the Two Towers. Spoilers for a future hot take. I watched the other two Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good job, Alex.
Thank you. And then my last Spartacus correction, just expanding on what I said last week, the ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending in case anyone out there is still planning on watching it. But I will say that I didn't like it personally. I wish it had ended differently. However, the writers did end it in a very bold fashion, and I will give them credit for making the choice that they did and how they decided to end it. So, yeah. Because I would imagine it probably wasn't a very popular ending. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you like the way it ended?
I was okay with it. Like, I like Spartacus just because of how, like, in your face it is, but I was never, like, a huge, like, oh my gosh, Spartacus is the greatest thing ever.
Anyway, then I gave my hot take on $1 Million Baby. Still a pretty depressing movie. However, I said that Hilary Swank's character was the main character of the movie, but upon further reflection, I really think that the main character is Clint Eastwood's character.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I would say it's pretty debatable. Like, you could make a good case either way, but personally, I feel like it was more about his journey than her journey in the end. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. It does.
Then Kenzie and Robin gave a brief joint hot take on the Wonder Woman movie. And Kenzie said that Gal Gadot, that's how we decided to pronounce it. Yeah, Gal Gadot made a good Superwoman. And yes, she was playing a woman who is super, as in she is a superhero, has superpowers, etc. However, I believe what Kenzie meant to say was that she made a good Wonder Woman. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kenzie did mean to say Superwoman just to, be clever, but
I'm pretty sure she did.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, but I mean, there's also a Superwoman, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh my god.
What? Okay, and then last correction, and this isn't really a correction, but for our fanfic fights, it was a bunch of wizards, one of whom was Gandalf, and I was wondering if Gandalf has a last name, and while this isn't necessarily his real last name, it's more of a last name than the gray or the white.
Yeah, although to be fair, he has
he has a ton of names.
Yeah.
Side note, I found out that the dedicated Lord of the Rings wiki is called the One Wiki to Rule Them All.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyway, so Gandalf Greyheim. If you really wanted to give him a last name, I think that's probably what you would go with.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all of our corrections. So stay tuned for a bunch of video game talk. And we'll be right back. Okay, we are back, and we've got a ton of trailers to talk about. So this is a little behind the scenes, but we are in a bit of a time crunch today, so we're going to mix things up a little bit. We're only going to be doing our feature topic. We're not going to do any other movie trailers or news. We're only talking about E3, as I promised last week. So the old Triple E was a couple weeks ago.
The old Triple E?
Old Triple E.
Who says that?
I do, just now.
Really?
Trademark.
Did you actually make that on yourself?
I think so.
Wow. I mean, it could be a thing. You never know that. The old Triple E.
So a lot of this news and the trailers, obviously, and our takes on them are a little bit outdated. But you know what? This is like the one time of year where like we can really talk about video games, just because it's so centralized. So we're gonna go whole hog with just talking about
you're just videos. Like spinning out all these phrases today, like, just going hog. What's going on with you right now?
I don't know. So the first trailer that we watched was the Sub-Zero trailer for Injustice 2. And I said when, we saw like the teaser trailer for the DLC characters, the first 3 that they've announced, I said that I didn't really like Sub-Zero's appearance. I said I really liked Scorpion in the first game, and this one wasn't as hot on.
Right.
I do like it better now because really we just saw kind of like the head, like the bust the first time, whereas we got to see the whole character model. And while I still think like in the main Mortal Kombat games, I really like his look better. I do like it more here, just the whole shebang.
Yeah.
But
he looked pretty sweet.
Yeah, he had a lot of really cool combos.
Really cool combos.
Yeah. A lot of the ice weaponry, they bring that in. Like he had swords and hammers and just kind of like, they were like he had daggers. That might have been his throw actually. He had the ice clone move, which has been a staple in Mortal Kombat for like forever. He had his slide move, which was really cool. He had this. I think the only move that I saw that I don't think I'd ever seen in a Mortal Kombat game was like this roll move.
Yeah.
Which a lot of Mortal Kombat characters have, but I don't think I've ever seen Sub-Zero do that. It was just. I thought it was really slick. He looks like he's going to be a pretty sweet character. His super move I thought was really really cool. It was pretty over the top. Not very Mortal Kombat, if that.
No, it does.
But I thought it was pretty awesome. So then from there we moved on to a new fighting game that got announced, Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yeah.
It's either Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Dragon Ball Fighters. I'm not really sure, but this was a weird game.
Yeah. First thing that threw me off was the art style.
Yeah.
Which is funny because we were talking about that previously.
Yeah.
Because it has, when I saw it, I thought, okay, I thought it was like, they were just a cutscene. It was very like, it was like it was almost out of the anime. It was just right there. And then when they started fighting, you see that they aren't 2D, they were 3-dimensional figures. Yeah. And then but it's still in the 2D style. Yeah. It kind of gave me kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It got me kind of shook.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton going on here.
There was a lot going on.
I mean, we could do like a really deep analysis of this, but for time's sake, we won't. One huge takeaway, I think, is that there's going to be 3-on-3 battles instead of just one character versus another. So you have teams. So the teams that they showed here was Cell, Frieza, and Majin Buu versus Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta. And one really cool thing that somebody pointed out on another podcast I was listening to is that when one character gets taken out, instead of there being like some dead time for the other character to, build up a combo meter or charge an attack or something like that, what happens is the next character flies straight in. They do like a little like clash clash thing, and then they go back and they
which is pretty cool. I liked it. It was really cool.
It's very Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Like, it puts more pressure on the player, but I think it's a good type of pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It means you can't rest. You have to keep on your toes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's like a ton going on, but also we watched this like 30 minutes ago because we watched so many trailers, so I'm losing some of the finer details. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
I hope that this gets picked up, by the competitive community. I'd like to see this at EVO next year. But, if not, I think, I'd like to get my hands on it. They didn't list it coming for Switch because, of course, they wouldn't. But I know that I don't know if the developers said they're open to it or what, but I know for sure that the guy who voices Vegeta, I don't know what his name is, but he's been campaigning to bring it to Switch. I think he's a Nintendo fan.
Like the American voice actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should say English voice actor. Probably.
Yeah.
Just assuming everybody's American.
But yeah, I think this.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Looks really
yeah,
cool. Well, very over the top. You know, like
even when Majin Buu was charging up, and then like he blows up, and then a huge chunk of the earth got blown up with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying a couple weeks ago, how one of the criticisms about UMVC3 is just how fast paced it is. Like newcomers, it's hard for them to tell what's going on. Mm-hmm. I felt that way about this game just because it was the first time I was getting to look at it. But yeah, it does seem very, very hectic.
But see, I like the craziness though. It's kind of like when you get on a roller coaster, and if you've never been on before, it's terrifying. But it's like that shot of adrenaline.
Yeah.
I haven't been on a roller coaster in a long time though.
I went before Liz's wedding.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to Six Flags.
That's still a good chunk of time.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't been since 7th grade.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I feel like if I went on now, I'd probably throw up after like the first 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've talked before about how I don't like roller coasters.
Yeah.
So then we rounded out the fighting game looks with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the story trailer. I don't think there was any gameplay. I think they released another gameplay trailer, but for time's sake, we decided to skip it. So we already knew the story of this game. Ultron and a robot from the Mega Man universe named Sigma, they fuse together and they're kind of wreaking havoc. And the heroes are kind of just trying to stop them. Like Zero, who's a robot, gets reprogrammed to be on Ultron Sigma's side. So there's going to be some, injustice stuff like that. They kind of lean a lot into that in the Injustice universe. But for the most part, it's just, good guys against bad guys.
Yeah, Thanos comes into the picture.
Yeah, that is a notable exception, is that Thanos is going to be on the hero's side.
I remember when, I have to talk about this. I honestly didn't know if your speakers could handle like how deep Thanos' voice was. Because I've already seen this trailer, but when I saw it, I had headphones in. So the minute he talked, it was like, into my ears. So I was worried because I know your laptop has been through a lot.
Yeah.
So I was worried that maybe some smoke was going to start coming out of it.
So one of the big takeaways from this for me was I don't think anybody likes the art style of this game, at least for the trailers. Like, I think the art style for like the actual fights will be, along the same lines. But yeah, there's something about it that just looks so lifeless, I think. Just flat.
I can see what
it looks very flat.
Yeah. Like compare this to Injustice or Injustice 2. There's something missing from that.
Yeah.
It's more like kind of like a cut and paste kind of story.
Yeah.
Not like just like the way that the dynamic is with everybody. Yeah. Story is good. I take that back. Apologize. I know what you mean. It's very it follows the formula a lot. Yeah. Everybody's kind of like getting along, like, oh no, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. And then as far as new characters, I mean, they showed off some, let's see, I know Rocket Raccoon, who's a returning character, Nova, which was kind of surprising to me, because, so we talked before about how supposedly all the Marvel characters are only going to be ones from the MCU, and so far that has been the case. And yes, Nova technically is part of the MCU, but not the Nova that we see in this game.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't see him fight. I'm just assuming that his moves are going to be more or less the same as they were in UMVC3. So that is a little strange, but he was one of my favorite characters in that game, so I'm fine with that. Let's see, other new Marvel characters. I don't remember. Oh, well, Thanos, obviously. Oh, and Gamora. I don't remember anyone else, though. And then on the Capcom side, we saw Spencer, we saw Chris Redfield, we saw Strider, Ryu, and Chun-Li. I think they were in the first trailer, though. Can't remember anybody else. So yeah, they showed off a few new characters, and all good picks, I think. So, yeah.
Oh, Black Panther.
Oh, yeah. Which apparently you have to pre-order to get, which
stinks.
Yeah, it's stupid. I really don't like that trend, but
whatever.
I mean, I'm sure you can pay for it after the fact.
No, I know, but it's just
No, yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of doing that. Like, if I ever made my own video game, I would never do that. Never.
Like no DLC or DLC characters?
No, like you have to pay for like pre-order and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So then we watched a trailer for a new IP called Anthem.
You mean Iron Man 4?
Yeah. This game was like Iron Man crossed a little bit with Breath of the Wild, with a little bit of Halo, with a little bit of like Horizon. I don't know. There's like just like a lot of like tropes.
Yeah.
But
But it's like also its own thing.
Yeah. Like they took elements from a bunch of different stuff and combined them in something that I'd never really seen before.
Yeah. Like you have seen it, but it's like it's still unfamiliar and alien.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminded me a little bit like the world itself. Pandora from Avatar.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And the suits like were also a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know. We kind of sped through this one because it was a long trailer, and I was trying to just, get the important bits. But basically, you play as this mercenary soldier type of guy who has.
I think it's a girl plays a female.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You might be right.
We had a companion who was a guy, but I think the person we were playing was.
Oh, I see. I was thinking that the female voice was
the bigger one.
Yeah. Well, regardless, so you play as a character, and you get access to this exosuit, which has the power to fly. We see it go underwater.
Shoots missiles out of its shoulder.
Yeah, you have a gun. You can do like a little rocket jump kind of thing, rocket sprint kind of thing. Kind
of makes me want one now. Like I kind of want one.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just like a lot of different sci-fi elements kind of strung together, but in a way I thought really worked. Again, like, there's a lot more of this game to see. Like, I don't know what genre it is, which, as time goes on with video games, like that kind of matters less and less.
Because it starts like blurring lines.
Right.
And people don't really. They care about it, but at the same time, it's not, like you said, too big of a deal.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if this game is going to be more about exploration or story, like how open this world is. Are there multiple worlds? Like, we didn't see that from this trailer. But I'm definitely interested. Again, I doubt this is going to come to Switch, but, I can always keep my fingers crossed. I think this one was at the Xbox press conference.
Okay.
So it actually might be an Xbox exclusive. I should also say we're not going to be talking about like the Xbox One X, that came out. I don't have anything to say about it.
It's good now.
We're not going to be talking about any like really industry news. We're just kind of focusing just on the games, just on the really important trailers that came out. But yeah, that's Anthem. So after that, we watched a quick little trailer for Cuphead, which I know Brandon has a lot of thoughts on.
I don't know what to say. Like, maybe too many thoughts.
So Cuphead has a bit of a storied history. It's been at E3 for like the last 3 years, I think, something like that. Like they've been like showing, more and more of it as time has gone on, saying like, oh, it's still in development. Like, please be patient. This year they finally gave it a release date of September 29th. So I think a lot of people who have been looking forward to this game are happy about it. I kind of wish that they just never released it. Like it was just like one of those games that they were just like, oh, we're still working on it. We really need you to just be patient. Like, I think that would have been funny. But it is a real thing. And I would say the best way to describe this game is like a love letter to like the old Disney animation, or like even Steamboat Willie. That kind of thing.
I was thinking also Felix the Cat, something like that.
Yeah. But my understanding is that this is like a series of boss battles. I think there's like a little bit of in between stuff, but I think what they're mostly focusing on is the boss battles. Yeah. And it just has a very like early days of animation art style,
which is kind of cool. Yeah. It freaked me out at first because I was like, it's been so long since I've seen anything like that in recent media that I'm just like, I don't know. And that type of art style, it was also very out there. Sometimes you'll see things that kind of just freak you out. So some of the things the bosses were doing, I'm like, oh my god. It was still entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Then we watched a trailer for a game called Kingdom Hearts 3. You may have heard of it. Again, this game has been a long time coming. I kind of wish they would just be like, oh, we're still working on it. Have another HD re-release of the first game for the 12th time. But no, I honestly think that the fans of that franchise would lose their minds.
Probably, and never support it again. Yeah. No, I take that back. Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
What's your experience with Kingdom Hearts?
I've only really known most of the first one, a little bit of the second one.
Okay.
Very little bit of the second one.
I played the first game, and I liked it. I thought it was a lot longer than it needed to be. That's probably the only true JRPG I've ever really played.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you count Pokemon, which most people don't. And yeah, it dragged on towards the end. There's 8 boss battles. The final boss is 8 stages, and I kept losing on one of them. You have to start all over.
Not even in its final form yet.
Yeah. And ever since then, I've kind of had this colored perception of Kingdom Hearts. Not I enjoyed what I played. Yeah. I think the concept is really cool. All of the Disney worlds kind of mesh together.
With Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Well, I don't really care about the Final Fantasy part. Just the crossing the streams of the Disney universes. Yeah. But yes, and not to mention the fact there's the 2 main games and then 12 different side games, and the story is super complex, especially because I've never played any of them. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have the greatest history with Kingdom Hearts. However, I know a lot of people really love this game, including Michael, he's playing one of the HD collections. I don't know which game it is, but he's been playing that. I saw him play a Tron level the other day, which was really cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we saw in this trailer just a lot of crazy stuff. So the main character's name is Sora. His main weapon is called the Keyblade, which is literally just a giant key which he uses as a sword. He has access to magic, and there was he had the Keyblade, and he was using magic, but in a way that I was very unfamiliar with. It looked very strange. And there's just a lot of stuff going on. Oh, it was all in Japanese. So all the voice actors, were speaking Japanese. We saw Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Pete, who was a I wouldn't call him a villain necessarily, but he's an antagonist from the Mickey Mouse cartoons.
He's mostly Mickey's antagonist.
Yeah.
Or rival.
Or employer.
That too.
If you've ever seen the Goofy movies, he's in those.
Yeah. I like his son is really funny.
Yeah. And then
Hades.
Yeah, Hades. And the funniest part of the trailer for us was the voice actor for Hades sounded exactly like James Woods speaking Japanese.
Yeah, which is either this guy is amazing at doing the impression, or we came to the conclusion that James Wood was actually speaking Japanese. Which, I mean, honestly, I would not be totally possible. Yeah.
But anyway, and then we saw, a handful of levels. The only one that I remember was the Hercules level.
Yeah.
You fight against one of the Titans. I know they showed more, but I cannot for the life of me remember any of them. So, yeah. Again, not my thing, but I know for the people who are into Kingdom Hearts and been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 for a long, long time.
It's been a long time.
When did Kingdom Hearts 2 come out? 2008, I want to say?
This is still back when the PlayStation was the primary console.
The PS2.
Yeah, I'm tired right now. Shut up. You say one more thing right now, I'm going to slap you in the face.
Please don't. Then we watched the trailer for Assassin's Creed Origins. I thought it was a pretty good trailer.
I did too. I liked it.
Again, I have no experience with Assassin's Creed, so this didn't really hold any interest for me in particular. But it was cool. This, the name certainly implies, and what they were saying made it sound like this is the origin of the assassins, and presumably the Templars. I would guess, maybe not. Who knows? So yeah, going back to the origins of the timeline, they're pulling the Skyward Sword. I think that's, a good move. And yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2005.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure some of those fans are dead at this point.
That reminds me, when they first announced Kingdom Hearts 3, which was like 2 or 3 years ago already, I saw somebody I follow on Twitter retweeted. It was like, doctor comes into the room and says, I have some bad news. You have 6 months to live. And then like me responds, nah, bro, I ain't played Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, back to Assassin's Creed. Looks cool.
Yeah, I'm really liking that a lot of these games so far has had very big open world elements. Just because personally, I like exploration throughout the game.
Yeah.
And plus, it's in ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
So what's not to like about that? I know a lot of fans have been petitioning like, hey, we want Egypt. And the Assassin's Creed companies are like, yeah, okay, just give us some time. And eventually, like, you're like, okay, we're going to do Egypt. And everyone's like, yeah, we're getting Egypt now. It's also really reminiscent of kind of like the first Assassin's Creed. Mostly because like it's back in that desert setting and there's just like some familiarity compared to it. Because I know a lot of people got that vibe from Assassin's Creed Revelation when you went to the Ottoman Empire. And during the first one is during the time of the First Crusade. So you're still in the Middle East. So there's a lot of like familiarity that people got from that. I didn't understand the giant snake at the very end though. That one just kind of... I mean... It's fine, I guess. I don't know why there was a giant snake at the end. They just kind of pulled an Uncharted on us. But more like a Tomb Raider, I'll say.
Or God of War.
Yeah.
Spoilers. It looks super high def. Like I might say that out of all of the trailers that we watched, this one looked the most like highly graphically advanced. I don't know. The Battlefront trailer was pretty high def too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if Assassin's Creed is your thing, then I hope you are enticed by this trailer. Moving on, we watched the Battlefront 2 trailer. This looked pretty rad.
Yeah. A lot going on in this one too.
Yeah, a lot going on. They didn't really show any gameplay, which I mean, I guess is fine.
I've seen the gameplay. It's
okay.
Pretty similar. I mean, a lot of it, like you saw, this was cutscene, but whatever you saw from the first person point of view, that was actually gameplay. So I saw some of the beta during E3 going on, and it was pretty legit. Not gonna lie.
That's good. I never played the original Battlefront, but
the very first one.
The very original.
Okay.
The second one, I played a lot. Like whenever
almost universally loved.
Yeah. Like whenever I had like sleepovers and stuff, like I would always, invite one of my friends who had a PlayStation, I think, and we would get the game and we would just like play that all night long. Basically,
it's a really cool game.
I think the only map we ever played was Kashyyyk.
Okay. Which is fine. I mean, Kashyyyk is really cool.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite maps.
Yeah. And then I like to play as the Jump Trooper, the whatever stormtrooper with the rocket jetpack. Yeah. So I think this game has a lot to live up to because the reboot of Battlefront, I've played like once for a little while and I thought it was fine. Yeah. But not owning the game, I don't know like the extent of it.
I know it got a lot of flack because there was no campaign.
Yeah.
So it was just primarily multiplayer. There was a lot of DLC you had to pay for. There was a lot of things that. I mean, it was a graphically really good-looking game, but there were a lot of things about it where, like I said, you had to buy DLC, you had to buy different maps, you had to buy different characters and different things to go off of that people just didn't really like. I mean, it was still really well received and really well done.
It just didn't have a lot of content.
Yeah, and people just weren't happy about that. So, as you saw from when we saw the other Battlefront trailer, like there's a story for this one, there's more things. And also people wanted more of the universe because, like you said, the reboot for Battlefront, you only play during the time of the original trilogy. Now, I think the story takes place like after episode 6. But you can now go into with different characters. As this past trailer you saw, we got to play with the droids and the clone troopers. And a lot of people, when the other Battlefront came out, they're like, we want the prequels back, which, it's funny because
I was about to say, like, that's such a dangerous territory to go through any Star Wars media. Like, there are definitely fans who want that, but you're also going to have to worry about the fans who are so opposed to the prequels.
And you know what's funny? Like, when I've checked out some articles and everything, it was almost universally asked for, like, hey, we want clones back. We want the droids back. And I thought, that's pretty funny. You get everybody, like, craps on everything about the prequels, but now we want everybody back. We wanted Darth Maul back. We want, like I said, the clone troopers back, the droids back. It's just a really weird thing.
But can you play as Jar Jar in this game?
Why not? It's probably a DLC.
Or you could just mod the game to have
Probably.
Jar Jar in there.
Just like armies of Gungans fighting.
I was gonna say, like, you could like replace Darth, like put a Jar Jar skin on Darth Maul.
Probably could.
That'd be dope.
Oh, so when I was watching some of the gameplay for the clones, I really like that D. Bradley Baker came back to voice the clones, which is kind of funny because Tamara Morrison, he is actually in the game too. He does the voice for Boba. Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that's kind of weird, but you know, the people enjoyed.
Wait, Boba or Jango?
I think Boba. Jango's probably.
Oh, I guess they're clones. He's a clone, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense because people liked his interpretation of the clones, and you know, they loved the way he did it on Clone Wars. Which is funny though, because in Battlefront 2, not this one, the other one, Tamara Morrison did the voice of everybody, like clone-wise, not everybody in the game. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. The dude's got a great voice and a bomb accent. But yeah, this one looked really cool.
Yeah. But again, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but this game's not coming to Switch, so I'm never gonna get to play it until I get a PS4, which is probably gonna be a long time from now because I'm super broke. So, sad times.
It's okay.
So then we got to the Big Daddy, the one that I was looking forward to most of all. Even though I would say this probably wasn't the trailer that I enjoyed the most, but this was the one that I was, because I didn't watch any of these except for the Nintendo ones, holding on. So I was really excited to see what they had to show us from God of War. And I liked it. You know, it was good, but it didn't knock my socks off.
I liked it a lot.
So basically we saw Kratos and the kid. So we know that the kid is basically going to be with you through the whole game. Which is fine. You know, I think that could add a good element to the game, depending on how they play it. You know, if you're always having to worry about, you know, the kid getting hurt, and if he dies and like you lose the game or whatever, or if he's just there, you know, as assistance, you know, to add some extra cover damage or whatever. You know, I think that's cool. So I think that could be an interesting mechanic to work in. Yeah,
it reminded me a lot of BioShock Infinite, because the companion that you have, she works very much like that. And I know people were at first really like wary because they didn't want the whole game to be an escort mission, because I know escort missions have a very bad reputation in video games. So seeing him actually, Kratos' son, actually contribute something, I thought that was actually a really good touch. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I got a real big Logan vibe.
I was sad to see that he's still rolling with the axe. I just, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It won't feel like a God of War game to me without the Blades of Chaos or some equivalent thereof. You know, the axe seems cool. Like in any other game, I feel like I would be super down with that combat, but it just seems so much slower and so much more close range and so much more, I don't know, deliberate. You know, I just love the Blades of Chaos, swinging them around, like not caring about anything, you know, just blowing up all the enemies and all the objects. That was just my jam. And to see this where, you can throw it and it'll come back to you, but it just seems so much slower, and that just, you know, disappoints me. So, that was my one disappointment. Everything else looked really cool. The story seems great.
You know, really good. At first, I thought that this isn't going to go anywhere, but now I'm on board with it.
Yeah, it looks great. You know, removing my disappointment in the absence of the Blades of Chaos, the combat looks pretty fun. Yeah.
Still graphic, still gory. You get to chop up people into pieces.
Yeah. We didn't see any gods in this trailer. Right. I mean, the World Serpent at the end is probably technically a god, but you know, we didn't see any Odin or Thor.
Which I'm glad for. I want to see them when the game comes out.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get them in this game. I'm sure they're going to want to, do sequels to this game.
Oh, probably, yeah, definitely.
They probably would want to save that for, the end of the trilogy or however long they decide to make the series. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if either you don't fight them. So my prediction would be you see them, you interact with them, but you probably don't fight them in this game.
Yeah, probably.
Which I think is fine. I think that's probably for the best. I only know of them because of the Marvel comics. I have almost no knowledge of Norse mythology. So there's a lot of ways.
So weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways they could go with it, and I'm sure there will be some really great boss fights that I just don't know about.
Actually, okay. All mythology is pretty weird.
That's true.
Norse mythology is a little bit up there the most. And that's saying something considering the really weird things that happen in mythology.
Yeah.
You ever read some of the things in Greek mythology, man?
Yeah.
Oh my god. And I read some things from Egyptian mythology that I really wish I didn't read. But I read it.
So, yeah, God of War. It seems pretty rad. So then moving on, we watched the trailer for Shadow of the Colossus. So this is not a new game. This is either an HD remaster or a remake. And, one thing about the game industry is that they have yet to come to a consensus about how to define what is, just the same game made look prettier or taking, rebuilding the game from the ground up.
Right.
There's lots of different terminology and some companies, they're usually consistent with their own terminology, but different companies will have it backwards, so it's just kind of weird. But as far as I can tell, this is from the ground up remaking the game, which is cool. It's a great game, one of the best, if not the best, PS2 game ever made. Just a super awesome game. I think really important too for the evolution of gaming because
it took gaming almost to a grander scale.
Yeah,
just by the way they did size and everything in that game,
and just the storytelling with all
music, story,
very minimalist
characters. Yeah.
Now, is this really necessary?
Nah.
No, it's not. I mean,
is it cool?
Yeah, it is cool. I mean, so the game came out for PS2, and yeah, it looks a little dated, but I think it's, I played it a few years ago for the first time. I thought it looked fine. And then for PS3, they did an HD remaster, just kind of, making things look a little bit nicer. And so, yeah, not necessary, but, if I had a PS4, I would definitely pick this up because it's that good of a game. Then we watched the trailer for Spider-Man. I liked it.
I did too.
Yeah.
I was going to say it, but I'm like, you know what? Let's see what he has to say first. And I'm glad you liked it.
I said this last year when we saw the first Spider-Man trailer, and I'll say it again. This game has so much of the DNA of that Amazing Spider-Man game that I played all those months ago.
I remember that.
And I just feel like it's not going to get that credit for, kind of introducing a lot of these mechanics just because I don't think enough people played it. But a lot of that material is there. Yeah. Just kind of, changed definitely, but the premise of the perching on places and the sneak striking and even a lot of the combat, how fluid it is, it's very, very reminiscent of that game. But I really enjoyed that game, so I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, not at all. And this trailer looked amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what I really liked about it? Towards the end, the QuickTime event that happens. Yeah. So I have a love-hate relationship with QuickTime events. Because I feel like they can either be really fun and add a lot to the game, or people rely on it too much. And they think every major thing you need to have a QuickTime event, which is not true.
Yeah.
This one, I really liked it. Just because you're still kind of doing your own thing in the game, but also when it happens, the inevitable outcome that's going to come. But it's still nice to participate in the event while it's happening.
Yeah. So again, this is a super long trailer, so we're going to kind of condense it a lot. But basically, Spider-Man goes to this tower that's under construction. These bad guys are attacking it. He stops the bad guys, and then he finds out that Wilson Fisk is not behind it. Like, he thinks it is, but then it's not. It's this other bad dude who I've never heard of before.
Me neither.
I think he's probably possessed. That's kind of what I was getting from it. So, like, someone was controlling him somehow. And there's a helicopter, and the helicopter is destroying the city, and Spider-Man has to stop it, and there's just a lot of
things going on.
Yeah, a lot of wanton destruction and a lot of web slinging.
Yeah.
And, looks pretty good. But it's PS4 exclusive, so you know what that means. So then we watched the trailer for Detroit Become Human. Now, we talked about this last year when the game, I think it was first announced, maybe not, I don't know. Regardless, we watched the trailer for it last year when we watched it, and I was super excited for that game. I thought the trailer was really, really cool. And this trailer, was so far different from what we saw last year. If I didn't know it was the same game, I would not have thought it was going to be the same game.
Yeah. I'm still intrigued, really intrigued. I felt it went on a little long, but at the same time, I don't know. I liked just the concept behind it. Yeah. Even though there was a lot of social commentary behind what the trailer had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still interested because I want to see what we saw in the first trailer, and I think will still be present. But this trailer turned me off a lot. And I think there was some cool stuff in it, but it just seemed so much more... I don't know, the first one seemed so much more intellectual and philosophical, I guess. And then this one just seemed so much more angsty and action focused. It was very... I don't know if this is a good comparison or not, but it was kind of going from Alien to Aliens, the movies.
Of course you think that.
What?
No, I mean, it's fair. It's definitely fair. Yeah. Two different things that encompass the same thing. Yeah.
So what we saw here was basically an android revolt, uprising. There's two... It starts off with... They're called androids, right?
Yeah.
Two androids, and they free a bunch of other androids, and that kind of just go from there. And they're kind of causing mayhem throughout the country, I guess. And... I don't know. It doesn't look bad. It just... I don't... Maybe I was just so enamored with the first trailer that this just kind of didn't live up to it. But it is something. I think it could be... I think it has potential to be good. Just not... To me, it doesn't look as good as what I thought the first game or first trailer made it look like. Okay, moving on. So the rest of the stuff we have to talk about is all from Nintendo. And there's a few things that weren't trailer worthy, if that makes any sense. So the first one is they announced that Rocket League is going to be coming to Switch, which I was super happy about. So Rocket League, for those who are not in the know, is essentially soccer, or for you everywhere else people.
Non-Americans.
Yeah. Football played with cars. And yeah, it does sound ridiculous, but it's pretty fun.
I believe that.
I played it once for about 15 seconds at a Best Buy. They had the little store display or whatever. I played it and couldn't really get a hang of the controls, but basically everybody loves this game. It came out 2 years ago almost, and I think it still has a pretty active player base. So I will definitely pick this up whenever it comes out. It's only $20, so
nice.
Yeah, definitely good value there. And one of the big things is customizable skins for the cars and everything. And the Switch version is going to have exclusive Nintendo type skins, so Mario and Luigi, that kind of thing.
Nice.
We might hope for a Blue Falcon from F-Zero or Mario Kart or something along those lines. So yeah, that was definitely a exciting thing for me from their Spotlight trailer. They announced a new Kirby game, which there was a trailer for, but I decided not to watch it just because there wasn't too much to take away from it. Basically, in this game, you can dang, I watched it so long ago. I don't remember how it worked, but basically, you can fuse two powers together in this game. Very reminiscent of the N64 game, Kirby the Crystal Shards, where you could literally fuse your powers together. It works a little bit differently here, but essentially you can use two powers at the same time to like make a combo attack. So I thought that was really cool. Something they haven't done in like, when did that game come out? Like 1997?
It's been a while.
Yeah. So it's like a reused mechanic that's it's so old that it's almost new again. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game. I love Kirby games in general.
Yeah.
I haven't played any too recently. The most recent one I played was it Epic Yarn? That was so long ago. No, I played Return to Dreamland, which was like 2010. But I haven't played Triple Deluxe. I haven't played Planet Robobot, and I haven't played Rainbow Curse, even though I own all three of those games.
Of course you do.
Yeah. They announced in like the briefest way possible that they are working on a core game in the Pokemon franchise for Switch. Now, I don't know what to make of that. It could mean a lot of things. It could mean just that it's going to be, the 8th generation of Pokemon games for the Switch. That would be cool. I'm not getting my hopes up too much. A lot of people have been saying forever, like, oh, we need a main Pokemon game on console. It'll be the best thing ever. I really don't feel that way. I feel like they could. I think people are projecting their expectations way too much on this game. I think they need to kind of just see something first before they decide what it's going to be. Personally, I would really love to get another Stadium game.
Yeah.
Those are like the best N64 games, pretty much. Specifically 2. I mean, Pokemon Stadium 1 is fine, but Stadium 2 is like 100 times better. And that's what I would really want to see. Like, it doesn't make sense for them to make the 8th gen on 3DS just because, that's not the current gen anymore. Current gen console, I mean. So, I don't know. Just, yeah. Anyway, so that's a thing. A lot of people were excited. I figured that was inevitable, but we'll see what happens. Then we got the announcement of Metroid Prime 4.
Oh my gosh, I'm very happy about this.
Me too.
Let's put it at the very basis. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, I am too. I've never played any of the Prime games. Well, that's not true. Long ago at McDonald's, you used to be able to play GameCube games.
Yeah, I remember that.
And one of them was one of the Prime games. I don't know which one it was. But so I played a little bit of that. But that's it. Like, I've never played any of the rest. I've seen walkthroughs for all three. That was a long time ago. And I own all three games because when Nintendo first put up, when they announced that you could buy Virtual Console Wii games for Wii U, they had a special where you could get 3 games for half off when it first launched. So it was Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I just mentioned, Punch-Out for the Wii, and the Metroid Prime Collection, which was for the Wii. And I bought all 3 of them, so I've been sitting on Metroid Prime for a while. So I definitely want to play all 3 of them before this comes out, which I think is doable, because the current theory is that it's going to be coming out next year, and even that is not confirmed or anything. It could be a 2019 game. So
yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately, like, literally it's just an announcement. The way they announced it is cool, but it's kind of more of a you should see it yourself kind of thing than me explaining it to you, because I would just ruin it. So, but it is cool. Then later on in their Treehouse stuff, like, this wasn't part of their main presentation, but their coverage throughout E3, they announced that there was going to be another Metroid game. A remake of Metroid 2, subtitled Samus Return, or The Return of Samus, I think it is. Or maybe it is Samus Returns, I don't know. Anyway, for 3DS. coming out in a few months, actually. And so 3D remake on 3DS of Metroid 2. And that also sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Metroid.
Yeah.
So.
Me too, even though I've only played 2 of the games.
Yeah, I'm so happy this is finally happening.
Right. So, the 2 trailers that we watched, the 2 Nintendo trailers that we watched. First one.
Oh my god.
Was Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom. So, prior to E3, like, this game was all but confirmed. Like, there had been leaks for months on the internet, and people were like, oh, this looks terrible. This is a horrible idea. The Rabbids are going to ruin Mario, yada, 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 yada. And I'm surprised that you feel this way, because a lot of people turned around on...
Oh, no, I don't hate it.
Are you surprised?
It's weird.
It is weird. Yeah, it is. It's definitely weird.
Yeah.
Basically, this game is Mario with a gun, so this is my first time seeing the trailer. And I was surprised how quickly he like picked up the gun and like started shooting. I was like, dang, Mario's ready to go.
I mean,
he doesn't mess around.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you have a gun and it's like turn-based shooter cover combat. I know that's a terrible way to describe it, but basically it's Mario, and there's Rabbids in the kingdom, which if you don't know, it's like crazy rabbits. Very cartoony, very dumb. They originated from the Rayman universe, and they kind of became their own thing.
Kind of like Minions.
Yeah, they are very reminiscent of the Minions. So you have, as far as we know right now, you can choose from 8 playable characters. So there's Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach, and then Rabbid versions of each of them. And they all have like their own, different, things about them, like probably different guns. I would assume like each of them can move a different number of steps per turn, and that kind of thing. So it looks interesting. I'm willing to check it out. I probably wouldn't pay full price for it, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Yeah. And then the last trailer that we watched was for Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, this was just weird.
Yeah, this was a very bizarre trailer.
Yeah.
So it starts off with this giant... Well, no. It starts off with, like, this grassy plain. Like, there's a mountain in the background, I think. And then this giant T-Rex comes from behind the camera. So all you see is its tail and everything. And after a little bit, it turns around and you see Mario's hat on top of it. And then you see the eyes come to life. And then you see it come off the T-Rex and Mario materialize out of thin air. And from there, things just kind of go bananas. So we find the first time we find out that the main quote gimmick of this game, because Super Mario Sunshine had the flood as the quote gimmick, and Galaxy kind of had a bunch of gimmicks, but I guess the new mechanic that it introduced was the spin. The new mechanic here is what they're calling capture.
Yeah.
Capture, which is where you throw your hat at an object or an enemy or something, and Mario takes control of it. Nintendo have been very careful in their messaging to say that this is not possession. It's, like I said, capture.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically possession. So yeah, there's just a ton going on in this game. I mean, it looks very crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of it looks very Mario, but a lot of it looks very not Mario.
It's so strange.
Yeah. But I'll definitely be playing this game. I mean, Sunshine is one of my favorite games of all time. I adore both of the Galaxy games. Super Mario 64 is an incredible game. Is that all the 3D Mario games? I mean, 3D World, I guess, if you want to count that. I also super love that game. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to this game a lot. And, yeah it looks bananas. I'm not super fond of the capture mechanic. Maybe once I get it in my hands, I'll feel differently about it. But, nah.
Yeah.
It looks like it'll be used for a lot of puzzle solving. Because, for example, like you can take control of a tank and start shooting stuff. So, you can use that to like blow up stuff in your way or kill enemies that you couldn't kill just by jumping on them. There's another like Easter Island statue kind of thing that has this pair of sunglasses that you can only see objects with the glasses. So, funny. Yeah, I mean, like it looks like there's some variety there, and the team that has made this game. They made both the Galaxy games, and those games are incredible. So I trust them. I need to get used to it, I guess.
No, that's fair. Definitely fair.
Yeah. And that's all we have to talk about. This is certainly not an exhaustive list of everything that came out of E3. Like I said, there's a bunch of industry news, plenty of other games that we didn't get to talk about, either because I didn't know about them or just didn't have time or whatever. But yeah, I thought those were the most important ones. A lot of really good stuff in there. Some stuff that, yeah. But overall, I thought it was a good E3.
Yeah, for me, like just once we got past Detroit, like all the trailers just started getting weirder and weirder and weirder. Like it was so entertaining. It just kind of went off left field.
Yeah, that's very accurate. Okay, so for the second time in a row, we're going to be doing our hot takes after our feature topic, but that's okay. I always go first. I'll let you go first.
Okay. So, not too much has happened. A lot of it, because I've been so busy, I've just been able to get bits and pieces. One thing I want to talk about first was I caught a little bit of Last Man Standing. Now, I forget which network it came out. I want to say ABC?
Yeah, it's ABC.
Yeah. And it stars Tim Allen. And it's been the first time I've seen him on like a show for a while. Ever since, I'm sure he's done other things, but I remember him best from Home Improvement. I was really little when I watched that show. But
Can you do the grunt?
No, I can't.
Oh.
Can you do it? That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, this was actually a lot more entertaining than I was expecting. And I remember reading, because I know recently got canceled. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at it, the basic description of the show was that, it's much more, favored toward conservatives or right-wing people. It kind of pokes some fun at liberals and people on the left. And when I saw it, I got a little bit of that, but basically what I saw from the show, it doesn't really take a side. It kind of... There's some stereotypes of both, but it's kind of like a parody, almost satire, and it's also really entertaining. It's funny. It involves about Tim Allen and his family.
I was gonna ask, maybe you don't know because you might not have seen enough, but what's the premise?
So what I understand is Tim Allen and his family. One of his daughters was impregnated around high school, or whatever, and the dad was gone for a while, and the dad has recently come back, and he wants to raise the kid. And so I don't know the premise because I only caught a couple of bits and pieces here, but he lives at the house for some reason. I guess he's just trying to become more of the family. Tim Allen, the character, he doesn't like him, but he kind of puts up with him. So basically the father of the kid, he is very much hipster. He's a vegan.
Gosh.
And Tim Allen's character, he hunts his food. He works at outdoors fishing, camping kind of thing. He's all about America. Yeah. But he's not really obnoxious about it. But it's really funny to see how the two of them clash. And it's not haha, split your sides laughing, but it's actually really entertaining. There are moments where I'll just I busted out laughing. I'll say that much. It was genuinely funny and entertaining, and I like the kind of things they touch upon, which is really funny. And then, because for some reason I was putting on YouTube while I was working on some stuff, I started catching a lot of BBC Earth, which I'm pretty sure you saw on my Facebook post and Twitter post, and my goodness. I've always been a big science documentary kind of person, and I love watching things about animals. So when I saw it, I thought, my God, this is amazing. It's beautifully shot. It's amazing to look at. Sir David Attenborough, he does the voice of it for the narrative of Planet Earth specifically, but also some other videos on there. And something about him is just so enticing when he talks about these animals hunting each other. And I don't know why. It's so captivating. Like, my description does not do it justice. You have to watch these video clips. Like, yesterday I was watching something about this iguana being hunted by snakes, which just sounds really simple. But the way they shot it, it is more thrilling than some action movies I have seen in the recent years. That's how intense it was. Yeah, and last thing, as I continue down the rabbit hole of YouTube, I watched some clips from Gods of Egypt.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to watch this movie now. Like, I genuinely will sit down and watch this movie.
Okay.
I don't know why. I kind of want to see where this kind of goes from there. That's basically what I've been, dealing with.
Okay. So I watched 3 Viggo Mortensen movies this week.
Okay.
So like I said before, I finished the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Overall, I thought it was good. I will never be as passionate about it as like you or Kenzie or, like a billion other people. But I have more of an appreciation for the movies now than I did before. Part of it is probably the Catholicism stuff. When I'd seen the movies before, I was definitely not as heavily into my faith as I am now. And so, I have more of an appreciation for that. As far as, watching films go, I definitely am more mature and I can appreciate more of the technical stuff. And then just, on a story level, I'm older and I have a little bit better of an attention span than I did when I was in middle school. Having said that, these were super long movies. It was pretty hard for me to get through.
And you watched the extended versions too.
Yeah. The extended edition of Return of the King is 4 hours long.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, there's 20 minutes of credits, but still 4 hours long. It was nuts. I will say that the first one, the Fellowship of the Ring, is my favorite.
Okay.
Of the 3.
Yeah.
You too?
I can't say that.
Okay.
I go back and forth all the time.
Fair enough. The only other point of reference I had was the CinemaSins channel on their podcast, the Sincast. They did a March Madness bracket of the best movies that have been made since they've been alive.
Yeah.
And the only Lord of the Rings movie they had on there was The Two Towers. So I didn't think that was the best one. Like I said, I thought Fellowship was the best one.
Yeah.
I didn't think any of them were bad. Just the first one just felt so much more. No, the second 2 were so much darker.
Yeah. Which is weird. I was gonna say it's kind of weird because there's a lot of dark things happening in the first one.
Yeah,
but you're right. No, that's very much what a lot of the actors said for the next 2 ones. Like, the films are darker. There's a lot more going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more at stake. It makes sense for it to get more and more intense. But I guess I just
got really intense.
Yeah, I just liked the beginning when they're all in the Shire and everyone's happy and there's song and dancing and it was so nice.
And then everything becomes war and shadow and
you could say everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah, kind of, because Mordor does have a lot of fire. Oh, okay, so real quick, last tangent. So I was watching another BBC Earth video involving fire ants. And then the ants attacked another colony. And then it said everything changed when the fire ants attacked.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So the video didn't say, but one of the comments said, okay, but that was the first comment and it had so many likes. I need to send you that video. But I died laughing. And the way they attacked is just like what you expect from Avatar. They just invaded the colony and killed everybody off.
Okay, last thing about Lord of the Rings I want to say is that last week we mentioned how they did as many practical effects as they could in Fellowship. And in the second 2 movies, or second of the second and third movies, just I think by nature of what is described in the books, they were kind of forced to do a lot more CG.
No, yeah, definitely.
And it really shows. There's just a lot of stuff that was pretty rough that they had to do with computer generated. And yeah, I mean, the practical effects just look so much better by comparison for these movies. It was a very stark difference. It kind of took me out of the movies a little bit, and I tried to ignore it as much as I could. And it was what it was.
No, that's true. I personally think the CGI still holds up, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not awful, but I mean, like, some of the stuff with Gollum, like, when they're really, like, close up on him, I can definitely tell, like, where the background ends and where Gollum begins. Definitely. So, yeah. I thought, again, like, it didn't, ruin the experience for me or anything. It just, if anything, it made me appreciate how much practical effects they were able to do when they were able to do it, so... I did also watch the first Hobbit movie, An Unexpected Journey, but I'll save my thoughts on that for when I finish the trilogy. So then the other Viggo Mortensen movie that I watched was called The Road, which is on Netflix. You are aware of it?
Yes, I haven't seen it, but I am aware of it.
This movie's a bummer.
I've heard.
Like, it is a major bummer.
I have heard, yes.
It's not... I talked about $1 Million Baby last week and how that was depressing. This movie didn't depress me. It was just like... Why? Like, what? Why? Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. Main premise here is that Viggo Mortensen and his son, both of whom are never given names. Like, it's just, father and son, or, some equivalent thereof. They are living in this post-apocalyptic world, walking around, trying to get somewhere warm, looking for food, avoiding danger. And it's that for like an hour and 45 minutes. And I won't give anything away in case this somehow appeals to you and you want to watch it. I won't say how it ends. But just a lot of nothing happy happens in this movie. I'll just say that. Final hot take for this week is, so 2 weeks ago, I talked about a Jake Gyllenhaal movie in Nightcrawler. And then last week I talked about a boxing movie in $1 Million Baby. And so this week, I put both of those together by watching the movie Southpaw. This movie's no Rocky. We'll just say that.
Yeah. I've heard. Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It just, I don't know. It was just there.
I think you've said enough.
It was a very average.
You've said enough.
Okay. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I wish I could be more eloquent about it.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's our hot takes.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully by next time I'm on the podcast, I'll have something for you guys.
All right.
Something more substantial than me just going crazy over Earth documentaries. Seriously, though, you guys gotta check that out. It's crazy.
Okay, well, we didn't get any emails this week, but you are always free to welcome us. No.
Yes,
you're also, yeah,
you are.
Yeah.
Welcome us into your homes, please.
No.
Put this podcast on.
What I meant to say was you are always welcome or free to email us. And that address is abcpodcast92@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. But that does bring us to the final segment of the show, which is, of course, the fanfic fights, a.k.a. the Kevin segment. So this week, we're going to have the Nemesis from the Resident Evil series versus Solomon Grundy.
I don't know anything about the Nemesis.
I figured.
Thanks, man.
What?
No, it's okay. You mean from the games or the movies?
The games, I guess.
Okay. Oh, I meant for you, like Resident Evil, like games.
Yeah, the games.
Okay. Right.
Well, mostly just Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who went first last time?
Well, there was the four of us, and Kenzie went first.
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors?
Sure.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, me go first. So the Nemesis is a zombie infected by the T-virus, as all the zombies in the Resident Evil universe are. Now, like I said, I've seen all the movies, but I don't know if the one that I'm thinking of, the T-type specifically, is ever really in the movies. It might be. I don't remember. And then I've never played it in the game, so I don't know how faithful this is. So all of my knowledge is going to be drawn from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Fair enough.
So in that game, the main feature of the Nemesis is he has a rocket launcher. So, boom, boom, boom. There's going to be lots of explosions in this fight. And that's all well and good. He also is like 7.5 feet tall, somewhere around there. So he's a big dude, very strong. And he has these like tentacle-like things. They're more like muscle or sinew that he can like shoot out of his arms to like grab his opponents. One of the moves, like he has like a ton of them like come out of his body just to like do a bunch of like spike damage to his opponent. But mostly it's to extend his reach, grab his opponent, throw them around, that kind of thing. Along with his strength, he has the power to jump up super high in the air and then slam down super hard. And yeah, his rocket launcher, in addition to being able to shoot explosive projectiles, also makes to hurt people really hard by beating them with it. So that's pretty much all I have for Nemesis. Basically, to recap, super big, super strong. He's got a rocket launcher, and he's got built-in whips to slap Grundy around.
Solomon Grundy. Now, this is a pretty interesting fight because a lot of times our fights, there's a lot of intellectual capacity that goes into our opponents. I don't think yours has that much of a smartness into it, does he? Intelligence, what am I saying? The same can be said for Solomon Grundy. He is not the brightest bulb in the shed. He probably doesn't even have a bulb. Well, I guess he has to if he has to function in that way. Basically, he's a zombie as well. The way he comes to life, it changes from origin to origin, but basically the thing you need to know about him is that he is a zombie, he is a reanimated corpse, he is strong as hell, and he's virtually immortal. You can beat him up, do anything to him, you can put him down for a little bit, but he's going to come back, and you can't kill him. Now, the size of Solomon Grundy has varied from incarnation to incarnation. I think the tallest he's ever been is about 12 to 13 feet tall, which was his appearance in Arkham City, I want to believe. But just for the sake of combat, let's just assume we're doing regular 7 foot tall, 8 foot tall Grundy. Now, your guy had the Nemesis. He has a lot more of a long-ranged advantage over Solomon Grundy because Grundy doesn't really possess anything that he has. Super strength, which pretty much it's on par with Superman. He can match strength with Superman. He can take blows. He has high durability. He has not really high stamina. I guess it's high stamina because he keeps going. But besides that, he doesn't have anything where he can like launch anything unless he throws things at your opponent. And that is going to be a big defining part of this fight. However, I do think that it's not going to win you the fight because Solomon Grundy, he doesn't know when to stop. He just keeps going and he keeps going. And like I said, you can put him down, but he's going to get back up. And he doesn't know when to quit until he finally beats the thing that hurt Grundy. And I feel like just out of sheer just durability and his immortal status and everything about that is just going to lead Grundy to victory. He might not know he won at the end, but, I think that's what's going to help Grundy win.
Okay, so 2 quick things about your guy before we end. So there's a nursery rhyme about Solomon Grundy, and I don't know if you knew it off the top of your head.
Not by memory.
Yeah, I knew some of it, but I decided to look it up just to make sure. So it's Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday, christened on a Tuesday, married on a Wednesday, took ill on Thursday, grew worse on Friday.
Why are you saying at the end?
Hold on, I'll get to that in a second. Died on Saturday, buried on Sunday. That was the end of Solomon Grundy. Now, I said, the days of the week so strange for 2 reasons. One, because that's the way it rhymes with Grundy. Second, the principal of our elementary school, Mr. Legrone, I remember that on the morning announcements, he would always say it that way, and I thought it was hilarious.
That's right.
So yeah. Other thing about Grundy is that he has probably my favorite Clash quote in the first Injustice game.
Oh, yeah?
So it's whenever he squares off against Green Arrow, Green Arrow says, "Hey Grundy, say fire bad," and then it switches over to Grundy and he pauses for a second and he mutters under his breath. He says, "Fire is bad." It just always cracks me up.
Yeah. I feel bad because I don't know why. It just Green Arrow gives him a lot of crap in the game.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I thought that was a pretty good match.
Yeah. I don't know who would win, actually.
Yeah, me neither. But we want to know who you think would win. So again, please send us an email to abcpodcast92@gmail.com. So before we get out of here, last thing is that it's my turn to pick the movie for discussion. And I thought that since we had so much fun talking about John Wick a couple months ago, that we should do John Wick Chapter 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good choice.
Thank you. So we will be talking about that in 2 weeks. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, it gives me
for
a reason
that.
to rewatch it. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job, Alex.
Thanks. But that's it. So you can follow me on Twitter at AtariAlex. You can find Brandon on Twitter by going to my bio in Twitter and looking there. I've got his username up there. While you're there, you can also find links to our YouTube and iTunes pages, and you can subscribe to both so that you never miss an episode. We would also really appreciate it if you could leave us a comment or a review so that we can know how to improve, because we always want to be better. But that is it for this week. So thank you all very much for listening, and we will catch you all next week.
Bye.